Oke, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi para viewers, kembali lagi bersama saya Yudi di channel ayudx. Kali ini saya akan bermain Ayudx Simulator 2 ya. Sebelum bermain Dota, karena waktunya juga sedikit, karena Jumatan, nanti saya akan live lagi setelah Jumatan bermain Dota. Oke, kalau begitu kita langsung saja gaskan pengiriman perjalanan ini ya. Oke, kita panasin dulu. Tep. Kita kesini langsung ke pengiriman ya. Cambridge, Turin udah, Erfurt udah, Geneva udah, Nuremberg udah, Hamburg udah, Lyon udah, Starboard udah, BMC udah pada United Kingdom udah pada semua. Ke Bremen, coba Bremen. Greenwich. Dari sini berarti 4 jam lagi. Berarti yang ke United Kingdom dulu, bro.
Ready to roll.
Mudah-mudahan cukup. Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Turn left. Get ready to turn right. Turn right. At the roundabout, take the second exit. Exit now.
Muhammad Al-Farihin, halo bro. Selamat pagi bro Al-Farihin. Makasih udah berkunjung channel ini ya bro. Halo bro. Kurang jelas ya suaranya ya? Kurang deket kali mic-nya ya? Jangan lupa bantu subscribe bro Alfarihin.
Get ready to exit right.
Mic-nya kurang deket ya kayak.
Exit right. Go straight on.
Kesel kenapa, bro? Yang kesel-kesel. Hari Jumat ini, bro. Jumat berkah, Jumat berkah.
Keep right, and then continue straight on.
Continue to
Go straight on. Keep left, and then continue straight on. Go straight on.
Ish, belok kiri, bro. Kok strike on tapi belok kiri. Puting kali ya. Jalan-jalan di akhir pekan tak menemukan kawan. Kiri dan ke kanan. Masa dari kemarin Bapak Ipin kagak sholat mulu sih Bang Yul. Bapak Ipin. Bapak Ipin siapa, bro? Upin Ipin. Bapak Ipin siapa, bro?
Go straight on.
Kalau Upin Ipin mah nggak tahu bapaknya siapa. Bapak Ipin loh. Bapak Ipin kagak sholat. Kenal aja kagak, bro. Kenal aja tidak dengan Bapak Ipin. Bapak Ipin tuh Bapak Alfarihin, bapaknya Muhammad Alfarihin. Jauh banget. Ipin, keren saya Upin Ipin bro. Bukan Upin Ipin kan? Bukan, rumahnya jauh gitu loh bang, yang rumahnya jauh. Rumahnya jauh ya, bilangin aja bro, sholat
Keep
itu
right,
penting,
and then continue straight on.
tiangnya agama.
Go straight on.
Kan sholat itu biar apa, maksudnya biar hati kita tenang kalau lagi marah atau lagi apa namanya, lagi sedang bingung atau kesusahan, sholat aja bro. Bang Ayu punya nomor WA? Waduh, nggak punya bro, bukan nggak punya sih. Itu kan nomor pribadi. Jadi nggak usah ya bro ya. Ini nomor pribadi.
Go straight on.
Bilangin aja, sholat itu penting gitu, penting untuk masa depan akhirat. Walaupun saya juga sholat sih sholat, cuman ya kalau azan paling agak telat. Bang Ayun punya ongkos gaji enggak? Gak punya bro, makanya saya live streaming. Kayaknya lagi masih apa, nganggur bro, jadi mengisi kekosongan ya paling live streaming. Kalau ada yang nyawer alhamdulillah, kalau nggak ada juga nggak apa-apa bro, enjoy saja, santai-santai. Santai saja. Nggak punya bro, sedang menganggur.
Keep left, and then turn left.
Live streaming biasa aja bro.
Turn left.
Bro Arifin Alfarihin. Kelewat.
Finding a new route.
What? Putar dulu. Oke, kita muter dulu ya, tadi kelewatan. Kita muter di sini aja.
At the roundabout, take the third exit.
Muter.
Exit now. Keep left and then turn left. Turn
Soalnya
left.
penting gitu, Bang Ayud. Soalnya penting gitu, Bang Ayud. Ini kosa bacanya harus gimana nih? Soalnya penting, emang penting sih, Bro. Penting, tapi kalau belum dapat kerjaan ya gimana lagi.
Keep right and then turn right. Turn right.
Bang Ayud umurnya berapa usianya? Usianya saya udah
Finally.
bentar
You
ya.
are here.
Udah 32 tahun, Bro Alfarihin. Sip. Siap. Oke.
Let's do this.
Kita let's go. Pengiriman pertama mana? Trailernya mana? Trailernya mana, Bro? Oh itu. Kalau Bro Alfarihin umurnya berapa, Bro? Bentar ya. Bentar ya.
Okay, here we go.
Oke, bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Pengiriman pertama ya, let's go. Udah.
Turn right.
24 tahun, masih muda dong bro. Sekarang sibuk apa? Kuliah, kerja? Ada pom bensin apa ya?
Keep right, and then continue straight on.
Please, Wish.
Go straight on.
Maju. Maju. Oke, pengiriman pertama. Nah,
Go straight on.
kasih apa bro? Ini saya kasih nih umurnya 62 tahun. Bagus. Ini buat Bang Ayun. Kasih apa nih bro? 62 tahun. 62 tahun apanya? Terus mau ngasih apa bro?
Go straight on. Exit left. Okay, let's find a new route.
Salah ya? Waduh, kelewat lagi. Bensin dulu dah. Lagu, mau lagu TVRI. Lagu maksudnya. Halo Bro Zar. Selamat pagi Bro Zar. Terima kasih udah berkunjung ke channel ini Bro Zar. Salah. Salah kan jadinya. Bensin dulu ya. Full tank. Oke. Brozar, jangan lupa bantu subscribe ya Brozar.
Go straight on.
Bukan bang, maksud aku mau logo mau logo TVRI 62 tahun gitu. Saya tulis. Banyak bro di Google, tinggal search aja TVRI 62 tahun. Emang nggak bisa bikin logo-logo gitu, bukan orang desainer.
Keep right, and then continue straight on.
Ini ngomongnya straight on.
Go straight on.
Coba dulu baca.
Keep right, and then continue straight on. Go straight on. Go straight on.
Maju. Dulu haus.
Go straight on.
Kan ada hak cipta, bro. Ada hak cipta. Jadi nggak sembarang bikin logo begitu. Apalagi itu kan perusahaan TV besar. Ini googling aja, bro. Gampang googling. TPR gampang, logo TPRI 62 tahun.
Go straight on.
Coba jelaskan singkat yang panjang biar tahu, Bang. Maksudnya? Coba jelaskan singkat yang panjang biar tahu, Bang. Jelasin apa, bro? Jelasin singkatan dari TPRI gitu. Televisi Republik Indonesia, TPRI mah. Ya enggak? Tertinggi bersama memori.
Keep left, and then continue straight on.
Left, ya. Kiri nih,
Go straight on.
ya.
Keep right, and then continue straight on. Go straight on.
Circular tea bag, a square tea bag, and pyramid, which they don't seem to make anymore. And if there is, what is the difference? I don't understand. Is the blend different? I suppose it would be. Do you drink tea from, well, it used to be Siam, but presumably now it's Thailand. Do you drink Sri Lankan tea, which used to be Ceylon tea? Do you remember? Everybody's got a different name now, post-Empire. What do you think of tea bag? So what we'll do next week, we'll do a blind tasting. Okay, we'll get you boys in, and we'll get Tetley's make tea bags, make tea. We'll get Yorkshire, pride of Yorkshire,
harus
and we'll get PG
dulu
tips.
rest area ya.
Don't know about their ads, because it used to be the chimpanzees, and presumably we don't make ads like that anymore. So anyway, we'll put the kettle on. Just put the kettle on. Put the kettle on. That's what, what's his name? There you go.
Oh, the rest area.
No. It's the guy that won the Oscar for Best Actor for playing Churchill, Gary Oldman. And he said, put the kettle on, I'm coming home. And they just thought, don't know why he had to do it in a northern accent. Is there really a difference? So we're going to get those three. We're going to do a blind tasting, and I bet you get them wrong. I betcha. Pride comes before a fall. It's 4:18.
This is LBC.
If you've been injured in an accident at work, you could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Talk to Harris Fowler today. For over 25 years, we've helped people who've been injured at work, in a warehouse, a factory, on site, or anywhere. With a 94% success rate, call the award-winning Harris Fowler now. 0800 213 214. It's no win, no fee, no risk. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitor.
For whoever
Ini
they
Bang
want to be
Ayu
in
pernah
life, give
buat
them a
logo
great
di
start
video
with
YouTube.
Well
Nah,
Kit. Carefully balanced,
belum pernah.
great-tasting vitamins and minerals for 4 to 12-year-olds with specific nutrients such as zinc and vitamin D, which support normal immune system function.
Belum
The
pernah
Well Kit
bikin
range
gitu,
from
bro.
Vitibiotics,
Nggak bisa.
from Boots, pharmacies and vitibiotics.com.
Good evening, night workers. This is the
Mau
lunch
buat
time.
apa, bro?
Calling the job well done and ready for bed via 6 McNuggets or a warm apple pie. Our final destination, as always, is home. Plenty of McDonald's restaurants are open late tonight. See McDonald's.com for opening times.
Running a successful business comes with many different challenges, but right now the need for good business advice is more important than ever. At Barnes Rove Accountants, we're helping our clients adapt their business strategies by looking at the best ways to build resilience in an ever-changing world. To arrange a free consultation with one of our partners and find out how we can support you and your business, visit barnesrove.com. Barnes Rove, clever accountants for business.
This is LBC. Message Ian Payne on WhatsApp now on 0345 6060 973.
I mean, I kind of knew how your brains worked at this time in the morning. I've been trying to do what we call a churn, okay? So this is to let you into sort of the language of radio, the grammar of radio. So a churn is when somebody's here at the radio station will go, right, here's our topic, talk about it for like 10 minutes with a couple of examples about your own life and maybe something else, and say, here are the numbers, get involved, right? So I busted guts. Won the gold medal for churning this morning about parents and pride and Draper's mum. In fact, she won't be there in the final because presumably she just gets too nervous and might put him off, and I completely get that. But what do you all want to talk about? Blooming tea. Fine. If that's what you want, that's what you'll get. Ian, good luck with the tea bags. Lapsang Susho, you say. I think it's Shushong, isn't it? Or Harrods number 42 Earl Grey for me. They don't taste the same. Lapsang smells like it's just come off a bonfire to me. And Harrods number 42. Get some Fortnum and Mason's tea.
Ini.
Alright, I'll go to Fortnum and amazing.
masalahnya.
Do you know what? I'll go to Fortnum and Mason's and I'll just sort of fill up with a couple of those. Put some posh. But if you get Fortnum and Mason, you see, Lapsang Souchong and Earl Grey, even I can tell the difference between that and your normal bog standard tea. I want to do 3 bog standard teas. What about Thai food? Does it make it into the podium for you boys? No, Thai food's not going to make it. So it's got to be. It's not even in the conversation. Okay, so it's not even in the top 10. Doesn't even get into the final of the diving, let alone the podium, because the Chinese win everything, don't they, when it comes to diving. So what I'd like to say is, so it's PG tips, Yorkshire and Tetley's. Right, okay, fair enough. Right, I've got a friend who's from the Tetley's family, very well-to-do family from Yorkshire. Yeah, lovely. Morning, Frank. Morning, Ian, says Naz. The best tea in the world is from Mauritius. Okay. Listen, if you want to... I'll tell you what, as listeners, you know what I'm going to say next, don't you? You know, if you could do a Jill the Pill and actually send us some tea, we are more than happy. So I don't have to go to Fortnum and Mason's and spend my salary on it. I'll get one of those hampers. If you'd like to do that, get what? Get a...
Halo bro Al-Hinib, Muhammad Al-Hinib. Selamat pagi bro Al-Hinib. Bro Al-Hinib, jangan lupa bantu subscribe-nya ya bro. Kita break dulu sebentar ya. Break dulu sebentar, buang air dulu, nanti lanjut lagi ya. Oke, lanjut lagi, lanjut. Yuk.
Because it was developed in Atlanta, and if you've ever been to Atlanta, and I have, it's incredibly hot and humid, and you can just drink Coca-Cola all day, and you don't feel in any way bloated or. And so it was designed there. Their greatest achievement for me, Coca-Cola, is having that advertising campaign at Christmas. Oh, Coca-Cola's coming, you know, when all the big trucks come through and all the lights are on. You know, you're selling Coca-Cola when it's freezing cold at Christmas. That's absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. Santa Claus drinks Coca-Cola. Does he really? So if you've done that, fine. If you want to verge into slightly more controversial territory than tea, and I think it is, and that's coffee, because there really are some differences to coffee. And do you believe, as my producer Sam believes, that Kenka is the best coffee? Instant coffee is the best. Yeah. No, I think there's gold blend, maybe. But I don't know. I'm a snob. I'm a coffee snob. I can't eat. I can't drink granules because it's just the coffee revolution has just been too great, isn't it? Now that's it for me, and you have to grind the beans yourself. Sorry, guilty. Is that you? Ian's in Surbiton. Hello, Ian. You want to talk about parents rather than tea bags? Thank God.
Yeah, I can only do coffee.
All right.
Back in 2010, do you remember when the Lib Dems went into coalition with the Tories?
I did. They had that thing in the garden, and someone said, David Cameron, you said you really hate the leader of the opposition, other than the Lib Dems. And he went, oh yeah, I did say that, didn't I?
Yeah, and the Lib Dems had their personal pledges not to put up student tuition fees.
Well, to be fair, that was the big one. It wasn't loads. It was that big one, which they'll never, ever live down, won't they? To be honest.
They signed the personal pledge.
Well, Mr. Clegg, you knew this.
David, the current leader, he signed his personal pledge.
Of course he did.
And unbeknownst to us,
Yeah.
a few months afterwards, there was a school prize giving.
Exit left.
From the kids that were leaving, sort of thing. And oh yeah, we're going along to that, yeah. We didn't know there's a conspiracy going on with the students.
Right.
And it bottled out, basically, except for one child. My son walked up to the stage.
So this was a school prize giving. You went along. Your son turns up to get his
Turn
prize,
left.
and
He protests against the student tuition fees in front of Ed Davey himself. My wife is sort of like going, oh my God, lowering herself into the same.
okay. Two things come to mind. One, how old was your son?
17.
Making a political statement about the Lib Dems reneging on their promise to get rid of student tuition fee in front of Ed Davey. Now, why was Ed Davey there?
He was not guilty.
That's astonishing. What did he say?
He smiled, but I was beaming. I mean, the wife was embarrassed, and I'm thinking, get in there. If you're the only one that did this, because you're the only one that did it.
What's your son doing now?
That's the same. He goes to the council.
Why are you being so sort of secret squirrel about that?
Well, it's not fair on him because it's his job.
Okay.
But
All right. Well, listen. That is an absolute fact. I have to say, Ian, that's up there with your best. To diss Ed Davey. Well, I know it's a very low bar, but you know this programme. All right, man. Have a lovely Friday. Nice one. The state where Atlanta is the state of Georgia, obviously. And Coca-Cola is so popular in Georgia, the state, not the country, that they literally call every soda in Georgia a Coke. Really? So it's a Fanta, you get a Coke. I've got a great story about
Get
that.
ready to turn right.
I was lucky enough to go to the opening ceremony of the Olympics in 1996 in Atlanta. It was one of the few
Turn
bits
right.
of live action I saw, because I basically had the graveyard shift during the day when it was too hot for anyone to compete. And I was sitting next to this couple, and all the countries were parade. You know, when they walk around at the beginning of the opening ceremony, and unless you're in France, when they go down the polluted river, when you had they were in the stadium, and each country comes in with their little banner up, and the country of Georgia, south of Russia, came in with theirs. The woman next to me said, "Oh, look at that! We're even competing." It's the Georgia state who are competing. Absolutely nuts. Tara's in Lewisham. You want to talk about saying I love you?
Yes, I do, and I'm a she, not a he. Hello.
Did I say he? I didn't. Did I? I do apologise because even I couldn't get that wrong. Go on then. Are we going to sing Je t'aime?
No, I wasn't going to sing. I wouldn't put you through that.
All right.
I really wouldn't. Although if there is one song which comes to mind, it's Mike and the Mechanics in the Living Years. You know that one?
Mike and Mechanics.
In the Living Years.
In the Living Years.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, what the words are, like as much as that I told you in the Living Years. So
someone's dead.
I'm very much an I love you person.
Are you?
Not in the way in which these kids do on their phones all the time. Love you, which I find really annoying, frankly.
Get ready to turn right.
But in a sincere way, and all three words. And I'm just glad I did.
Well, we as I say Englishmen, but I assume it refers to a lot of other people, gender-wise and nationality-wise. But here's Lloyd, for example, who says, "I went to watch my son play football. Near every time he played, I can only remember missing a couple of games. And before we end every call, I will say, 'Love you, mate.'" You see, dad to son saying, "I love you," bit icky. But "love you, mate," fine.
He probably wouldn't want it in front of his friends, according to me, because it's a bit different when you're growing up as that.
It's just, all those ads about dad dropping you off at the school, they're absolutely true. They just go there. Just leave. I don't need you to hang around. Hi, mommy. No, dad, shut up. Go away. Go. We're going to be talking about that at 6 o'clock. I must just ask you then about dropping people off at school, because we've had a right old row about this for 6 o'clock. Do you think it's okay that a girl who's starting big school at the age of 14 should be able to turn up on her first day of school with bright red hair and false eyelashes? Do you think that's permissible or not?
No.
Thank you. 1-0. So we're going to tot it up, Sam. We're going to tot it up here. I think that's ridiculous, but Sam says, why not? What's wrong with it? It's about standards, isn't it? I think. No? We disagree. All right. Anything else, Tara?
I do think it's important, and I would encourage people to say it, because you never know when your last conversation with someone might be.
Fair enough.
And if you do love that person...
Well, I'd like to say I love all my listeners. Our listeners, sorry. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, but you don't know us still.
No, I don't know you, but I feel I do.
So that would be a bit silly.
Yeah, a bit silly, yeah. Well, hey, why change the habits of a lifetime? I've just been sent a picture, actually, of the girl who turned up on... it's not bright red, is it? It's not, Santa Claus red. And the eyelashes aren't actually crazy, to be honest. But you say I'm wrong. Listen, let's do this at 6 rather than do it now. Okay, we've got Jeremy Kyle to get through before then, but I'm going to tot it up. It's 1-0 at the moment, and we've had rows about not every topic, but certainly 5 and 6 o'clock we've had rows about, haven't we? Yeah, I think it's fair to say. Mike, love you too. Love you. Painey, I don't like tea. I like gin. Says Jim. Very good. Shane says, guess what I love?
Never mind. I'll find a new route.
Much in my life. Aww. But I know my parents were very proud of me because some of the things they saw with me, particularly in childhood. My father told me this shortly before he died. I'm extremely proud of them too. I always went to my daughter's plays and performances. Nerve-wracking, but she was great. But did you tell her? Yes, that's the thing. Hi, Ian. My dad is very competitive. I love these, says Gethin. And he won the 1976 Yorkshire 100 metres sprint title. What was his time, Gethin? When I was in school in the 90s, he turned up to the parents' race on sports day in his vest, shorts and spikes. Even though he won, I've never been so embarrassed. It is funny, you know, Parents' Day. When it comes to the parents' races, you boys haven't experienced it yet, but you will. The competition that comes out, and any type of sort of match that you organise after school is. I remember organising a football match between BBC Radio Sport and BBC Television Sport, and it was like something out of the 1960s in South America. It was kicking and thumping and bad tackles and kneeing and, you know, holding on to people's, you know, what's-its and making them squeak. I couldn't believe it. I had to actually... And then I came on, having sort of chastised my team because I was player manager, and I sort of brought myself on with 10 minutes to play, and I cheated and got a penalty. And I was like, I wasn't fouled, but I jumped and I got one. And I realised that it's actually easy to... you're allowed the referee to make a choice, or whatever they say when they do punditry. So I did. I gave myself a chance to do that. But that's just absolutely ridiculous. What was the other really violent one that I saw? That's right, it was a parents' football match.
Yeah?
And it was with the kids and the parents. And it was really, really bad. Have you seen that thing online my algorithm sent me? They're sick, these people that design these things. There's a guy, he says, don't you wish you were still able to do this? And it's a guy, and he's skating round a pond or an official skate park. And the only other people who are he's obviously a school teacher, and the only other people who are on there are kids who are about 6 or 5. And he kicks this giant sort of ball at them all to knock them over the whole time. And the kids just get up and carry on. It's like that Boris Johnson. Do you remember before the Rugby World Cup in Japan, he went over to promote, and he was rugby tackling a child and doing it really, really seriously. Right, Sandra, stand by your horses. Is that a phrase? It's 13 to 5.
Sunday with Lewis Goodall.
He was literally on the council and introduced a set of standards that all buy-to-let landlords in his council had to obey, and he himself did not obey it.
Listen on your radio and on Global Player.
Don't you think it would send a message to buy-to-let landlords who are ripping people off that you, the Labour Party, do not tolerate standards like this, not least from your own MP?
Well, I'm certainly not saying it's okay. We don't tolerate standards
then
like
punish
that.
him then.
Sunday morning from 10 on LBC.
A traffic update for all late-night travellers. There are delays outside getting to bed due to a hold-up at Grand's Never-Ending Stories. Please take the diversion via Mayo Chicken or a warming latte, which will see you home. Plenty of McDonald's restaurants are open late tonight. See mcdonalds.com for opening times.
When Andre sold his car on finance with Motorway, he got more money. Ooh! He then put that extra money into tickets to follow his team around the country. Come on, lads! Selling on Motorway was completely stress-free, which is more than I can say about being a supporter of... Yes!
Sell your car the more money way, where 84% of sellers sold for more. Motorway. Validated against 2 independent sources. Visit motorway.co.uk/claims.
If you've been injured in an accident at work, you could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Talk to Harris Fowler today. For over 25 years, we've helped people who've been injured at work, in a warehouse, a factory, on site, or anywhere. With a 94% success rate, call the award-winning Harris Fowler now. 0800 213 214. It's no win, no fee, no risk. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitor.
This is LBC with Ian Payne. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Alexa, send a comment to LBC.
So all those films I've been watching about Charles Dickens, Scrooge, where Santa Claus appears and hands out presents, all wrong. Should have been wearing green, because in the Victorian era, Santa Claus was green. I don't think he turned red specifically because of Coca-Cola, but it was adopted by the Americans first. I don't know the exact... Someone will know more than I do, but I'm not prepared to read through the whole history of Santa Claus. But, well, I didn't know that. Every day you learn something new. Right, it was... it's not stand by your horses. Hold your horses, and now you can let them go, Sandra. Good morning.
I just going to say, I haven't got a horse. I've got a bird listening.
All right, well, hold your bird, and now you can let it go. Freedom.
I phoned about tea bags, but I picked up a couple of things listening to you just to say I knew all about the green to red St Nicholas.
Did you?
In fact, somebody said the other day about Christmas, and I said, well, it's nothing to do with the heart of Christianity. Yes, I've known for ages. It's just St Nicholas, changing from green to red because of Coca-Cola. That's how I heard it.
So you think he turned from green to red because of Coca-Cola advertising?
That's what I read, yeah.
Unbelievable, Jeff. Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not. Yeah, I did not know that. So, tea bags.
Oh, yeah, but just quickly, can I say, when you said about the schoolgirl, I didn't know the other day I had to fill in the hospital form that you get magnetic false eyelashes. No, isn't that a thing?
Magnetic false eyelashes?
Yeah, you're not supposed to be wearing them for MRI.
I didn't know that. I thought you actually...
Me neither.
All right. So, hold on a minute. Let's get this right. So, they're magnetic, so they stick to you, yeah?
Well, I was saying this to someone I know, and they said, yes, you put on magnetic something eyeliner, and...
I see, because it's got to... So, basically, you're wearing metal that will attract the magnet in the eyelash.
Well, apparently. Not all eyelashes, but they are listed on a hospital form. I mean, personally, I use mascara. I have done years ago false ones, but I thought that was quite staggering. Anyway...
so Magento, or whatever his name was, in X-Men, he'd have a terrible time in one of those machines, wouldn't he?
Who's that?
Magneto. What did I call him? Magenta. Yeah, Magneto.
I missed
Magento. Whatever.
So they're so noisy, you should leave the country if you want one of those. They can send you death.
Anyway, tea bags.
Somebody stole my PG Tips plastic, but also I'm just checking Twinings and Clipper are plastic free as well.
They don't make the tea test up for us, I'm afraid, unless you'd like to send some in.
Oh.
I'm determined to prove to my boy crew that actually you can't tell the difference. Determined.
Well, personally, I'm not a tea connoisseur. Whenever I was in offices, I'd always say coffee, please, but I just have cheapest one-stop.
I see so many... a couple of things always... 3 things annoy me when I watch television series or films, mostly American. One is, whenever they leave the house or whenever they walk into the house, there's loads of lights on. Nobody does that. When they get out of a car, they always don't lock it. Even though you can go boop, boop, they can do that. And the third one is they always have a coffee when they first wake up. They make a coffee in the kitchen before there's sacrilege for me. I'm not ready for a coffee until I've had loads of water and a tea. Then I'll have a coffee later in the morning.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that.
Yeah.
So
you can't wake up in the morning and have a strong coffee straight away. That's to me, that smacks of having too much of a stressful life.
I once read that Joan Collins, I mean, personally, I hate getting up. As you can say, I've got to keep strange hours. But Joan Collins says she thinks of something like good, like the first cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah, I get that. It used to be with me the first cigarette of the day was always the only one that was really, really lovely. I'll tell you something weird that happened to me about waking up and having coffee. Have you ever slept too long?
Oh, yes.
Last night I slept too long.
Me, but you're a bit surprised how late it is, yeah.
And my back hurts because I spent too long lying down. Isn't that weird? Normally I complain of not getting enough sleep, but this job, because I'm so worried about not getting enough sleep, last night I had too much sleep.
Oh, wow.
10 and a half hours. No, can't do it.
Oh, fantastic. Can I just put in one thing about...
Always.
I worked briefly for a chartered accountant, and I was told the senior partner making his Earl Grey had to be just the right shade. That was my least successful job. Perhaps I didn't get the shade right, Well,
listen in next week. It's going to be absolute appointment to Listen Radio as we test the crew to see whether they can actually tell the difference between teas, because they say they can. Now, we have an eclectic cast of listeners and indeed people who work on the show. So, again, I've introduced him a few times because he sends me texts that are, I think, poetic, but totally baffling to me in their language. So, John in Carlisle, take a boo, son. You've sent me this morning. Okay, ready? If fitness sells anything that stays sane and can fold up a cat, then mind of man, too, can go down the loo in feline form made acrobat. What is that? That's like Jabberwocky or something. I'm not asking you to... Don't you go... I'm not asking you to change, John. I like it. Keep sending me stuff like this, and every so often I'll reel one out. Sometimes, yeah, I don't know what's been happening back, behind your curtains, but you have a different take on life, and I don't know. Ready? I'll read it out again, just in case anyone's got any idea what this might mean. Okay. If fitness sells anything that stays sane and can fold up a cat, then mind of man too can go down the loo in feline form made acrobat. Anyway, Mike says, hi, I'm Mike from Bradford, although I'm currently working in Aberdeen. Right, that's fine. Yes, I needed to know that. I wasn't going to message you, but I just can't have this. All tea bags are rubbish. Stop being lazy and make tea properly. Get yourself some loose leaf and put some effort in it. 6 exclamation marks. I absolutely refuse to let anyone make me a cup of tea. They never get it right. Well, it's the same for me. We get new people in all the time. They make me a cup of tea, and the diva in me wants to say, oh, could you just... if someone made you a cup of tea, would you? I mean, am I bad? It's like the two things when you're the so-called talent compared to not doing the stuff next door. It's the two things you doesn't do is, one, be a diva about someone who's given you a cup of tea, and two, forget everybody's name. So when the leaving card comes round, you go, you don't know who the person is. Do you want to send, have you got to sign Jerry's card? Yeah, sure, Jerry, yeah, fine. Do you want to sign Hayden's card? Yeah, sure, I will. Ricky is saying, John is telling that you can have a number 2 like a cat while standing on a garden fence if you're into fitness. It didn't mean that. It didn't mean that. We don't know what it meant. Hal Cruttenden on parenting. Watch this. If I had if I wasn't actually on the radio at the moment, Sandra, I would definitely have a watch of it. Shane's got in touch again. G'day. When I was in Woolworths, he's often in Woolworths or his bar, I've seen Bushell's Australian breakfast tea bags. It tasted like other tea bags. What a rip-off. And it was $4 dearer, says Shane in Sydney. Well, others are available. Andy says, Yorkshire tea is the best because you can get 2 mugs from 1 bag. Oh, no, don't do this. I told you about my sister, didn't I? Who's on some sort of trying to save money. And actually has the tea bag and then puts it on a spoon on the draining board so she can use it again. I've got one out of the bin before. Yes, I have. Yes. Well, I'd run out of tea bags. The bin was not the worst. I told you what the worst was, wasn't I? The bin was not the worst because I'd run out of tea bags. I was so lazy, even though I live above a Sainsbury's. I thought I'm going to have it now with this. I'm so lazy, and then it got to a new. Like in Wedding Crashers where they find Will Ferrell and he's going to funerals to pick up people. That I've kind of gone to that level now when it comes to tea bags. And there was one once that I accidentally hoovered up and took it out of the hoover bag and used it. That's as low as you can get, isn't it? Now that's lazy, don't you think? Should you dump that? Right. Okay, so we've got to the part of the programme at 5 o'clock where we like to call the gear change. So forgive me, because I thought we'd be talking about parental pride, but actually we're talking about silly tea bags and stuff. And so I now have to make the switch, the gear change, as we call it, between silly tea bags and Jeremy Kyle's reality TV show. So Jeremy Kyle appeared as a witness after the sad suicide of one of his contestants, shall we put it that way. Let's talk about reality TV.
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 5 o'clock, the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, is to chair a summit aimed at tackling criminal people smuggling gangs. She'll lead the meeting of senior ministers, law enforcement and intelligence figures later. It follows the deaths of at least 12 people in the English Channel on Tuesday. Stephen Smith from the refugee charity Care for Calais says creating safe routes is the only option.
Here we are again. We formed another squad. We, as was mentioned before, we're no longer in Europe. We're not part of Europol. We don't have access to the European arrest warrant. We don't have access to something called the Schengen Information System, which is the intelligence system for cross-border checking. With all those things missing, I don't see how this newly titled Border Security Command can make any difference.
An investigation is continuing after a member of the Royal Navy died in a helicopter crash in the Channel. 2 other service personnel were rescued after the aircraft ditched into the sea on Wednesday evening. Lucy Letby is planning to attempt a fresh appeal with a new legal team. The former nurse is serving 15 whole life orders for the murders of 7 babies and the attempted murders of 7 others. An attempted appeal was rejected in May. A report has found school absence rates in the UK have doubled from pre-pandemic levels. Researchers at the LSE say it's a knock-on effect of lockdown restrictions and school closures at the time. Their report cites changes in attitudes and increased levels of mental health problems. Yannick Sinner says Jack Draper's playing the best tennis of his career ahead of their US Open semi-final. Italy's world number 1 will take on his British challenger in New York tonight. Sinner is the Australian Open champion and the favourite, but says that doesn't mean much.
No win is granted. You always have to find a solution against each opponent, and now, the matches are a bit different. Semis, the feelings is, before the matches, and they're different. I'm lucky that I played already with this kind of feelings.
In the city, the FTSE 100 will reopen this morning at 82.41 after closing down 27 yesterday. The pound buys $1.31 and €1.18. LBC weather. Rain across central and southern parts of the UK. It'll be driest and brightest in Scotland and Northern Ireland. A high of 26 Celsius. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Thomas Watt.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Ian Payne.
Good morning. We are talking about the inquest into the death of one of the, do we call it a contestants? What do we call it? One of the guests who appeared, it's a loose term, isn't it, who appeared on the Jeremy Kyle show, who took a morphine overdose after appearing on the show. I don't know if you don't know what Jeremy Kyle's show is. It's kind of Jerry Springer, but a really kind of vicious version of Jerry. I always loved the Jerry Springer show, the reality TV show from America, because I think that even though he encouraged lunacy from the people and spectacularly unique people and their relationships and their kind of sexual foibles and all the rest of it that went on, he genuinely seemed to care for them. That was my thing. He'd always do a little speech at the end of each programme, just sort of saying, look, make sure you all care for each other and all. And I liked that, and I felt I liked Jerry. With Jeremy Kyle, I don't know, I always used to like Jeremy Kyle when he did a local radio on BRMB in Birmingham. And he used to get people to meet. He did Love at First Date or Marriage at First Sight or whatever these programmes are called now. He actually was ahead of the game and used to do that on his Birmingham radio show. And it was brilliant. And I think he actually met his wife, didn't she? She was one of his wives anyway. She was a guest, I think, on one of these programmes, and he sort of fell for her, and that was the rest is history. So, I always loved him on that. But when he got on television, and I'm sure he'd probably admit it now himself, he was just a bit too severe on some of the guests. We all thought that these guests were like, what are you doing on this programme? You're asking for trouble. And people were very snobbish about the kind of people who would appear on that show. And indeed, but the Jerry Springer show, there was more laughter in the air. With Jeremy Kyle, there was more hostility and enmity, and I don't know whether necessarily it was required, but it was just the way that he did stuff. So, unfortunately, like a lot of reality TV shows, it died a death because of, sadly, the death of one of the guests. So Jeremy Kyle has appeared as a witness. Now, we're allowed to talk about this. It's not a criminal prosecution. It's not a civil prosecution. It's an inquest. It's just to find out the cause of death, which, like many inquests, you kind of know already. So, what have we heard? So Jeremy Kyle was giving evidence yesterday in Winchester, I think it was, at the inquest of a man who died after filming his television show. 63-year-old Steve Diamond from Portsmouth is believed to have killed himself 7 days after filming the Jeremy Kyle show in May 2019. The inquest was shown clips of the show. We'll play one of them because this was a show that was never aired, by the way, because of what happened to him. It was recorded, it was going to go out, and then because of what happened, not only did they not play that particular episode, they actually decided that the whole show would collapse. I remember in the past there was... Do you remember Noel Edmonds' Swap Shop with Mr. Blobby? And they pushed it too far when one contestant was involved in some stunt where it was kind of like a bungee jump and the bungee broke or something broke and he passed away, and that was the end of that. And that's what happens with reality TV. But the thing about reality TV, why it's so devastating but why it's also so entertaining, is you never know what's coming next. With recorded stuff and dramas and all the rest of it, you're pretty sure that they've made sure that nothing too dangerous happens. But with this, particularly if it's live, and this wasn't even live, you think, ooh, that really is. You are, absolutely. So let me give you just a little sort of synopsis of what happened before we hear one of the clips, which has never been aired until yesterday at the inquest. So what happens is, as a lady with her daughter, and the lady's husband is this guy, Steve Diamond, and she's accused him of lying the whole time and sleeping with other people. All right, and he's absolutely adamant about it. He admits that he was so keen to prove to Jeremy Kyle and the rest of the country that he hasn't cheated. He rang the show 40, his words, times to get on the show to take a lie detector test. Now, the trouble was he was taking medicine for depression at the time and obviously had recourse to morphine, so God knows what else was going on there. And he went to his GP and he said, I'm going to appear on the show. And the GP said no. And eventually the GP said yes and wrote a letter to say that he could appear on the show. So he obviously had some issues before he appeared on the show. Okay. And again, just to give you a little sort of background information so you can make your own mind up. During the little introduction, Jeremy Kyle said that you have already proved to be a liar, haven't you? For example, his partner, his wife, who was accusing him of all this, but they obviously still loved each other, who's accusing him of this, she claimed that a box of pills of Viagra that had never been used between them, quite a few of the pills in the bottle had disappeared, and she obviously, 2 and 2 equals 4. Make of that what you will. He fibbed or lied about many things before they got together. He pretended he was in the Navy. He actually had failed his naval exams and wasn't actually in the Navy because he was colourblind, apparently, and that stops you from being in the Navy. And he was also, as I say, he had these depression tablets and he refused to take them before he appeared on the show. So they do all this and they have this chat about it. He's taken a lie detector test, okay, and this is what happened next.
How many women have you met online on that POF thing?
What, before I met Jane?
Yeah.
I think about 3 or 4.
Since the start of your relationship with Jane, have you passionately kissed anyone else? She said no. Why did she say no, Steve?
Because I was telling the truth.
Says you're a liar, pal. Just so you're aware, you failed every single question.
Oh my God, I was never unfaithful.
I'm going to go and talk to her.
Oh no!
So that's his girlfriend and daughter upping themselves and going into the back studio because of this. Carry on.
Quite interesting that the audience thought you were telling the truth. I wouldn't trust you with a chocolate button, mate. Honestly, you are. I don't think you even know what the truth is.
You've done it. You've done it. Everything.
Jane, I haven't.
So you go to your fish and you meet her and everything. So that's wrong, is it?
Yes, I swear.
So the serial liar goes into the Jeremy Kyle lie detector and gets called a liar, and my test's wrong, yeah?
I swear to God, I'll swear on anything.
Just all calm down a minute. Don't start crying, mate. I can't. The hardest thing of my job is I'm paid to read it out. You asked us to do that. Why would you fail? Darling, take a breath. Why would you fail?
I haven't been.
Have you lied about anything in that test? Did you kiss somebody but not have sex with them? Has something happened?
No.
If you go into that test and you lie, even when you split up, come on, I'm doing my best for you.
And I'm being straight. I'm being so straight. I am being so straight, Jeremy. I've never been more straight than this.
Let me tell you what I know. I don't actually take any pleasure in this at all, contrary to what some people think.
I honestly thought I was going to cakewalk it.
Right, and that's the gist of it. I actually, listening back to that, feel a bit ghoulish doing it, I have to admit. But, it's important that you get a good concert, because no one's actually seen or heard that until yesterday. But it's all over the internet, and you can click on various newspapers' own news sites online to see it and hear it as well. So I just felt if we didn't do it, we wouldn't really be explaining the whole story to you. So that was the story. 7 days later, Mr. Diamond was found dead after, apparently and seemingly, and the inquest will prove it or not, that he'd taken an overdose of pills, including morphine, and I'm not quite sure where the morphine came from. So, if you're just waking up, and we're talking about the whole concept of reality TV, and the whole... I don't try to be too sort of moral about it. This is an extreme case, OK? This is a man who is obviously not fit medically to undergo this sort of ordeal, OK? And I think the technical side of this says that if you take a lie detector test, it's 95% accurate, to which we had the good debate this morning in the office saying, if you were having a life-saving operation, would you trust a surgeon who is 95% sure of successfully operating on you? Would you get on an aircraft that has a 95% safety record of not crashing? To which the obvious answer would be, well, no, OK? At the most charitable, it's 95%. Law enforcement in the States has it about 70%. So it's not super accurate. And the idea, and the other thing you have to say about the lie detector test is, if you answer one incorrectly, i.e. they think you're lying, it is likely that many of the further questions will turn out to be lying. And it seems strange that he actually lied about every single one. I mean, this is a man who obviously didn't deal with stressful situations that well, and I should know because I've been there. But there's no way I would have got on a reality TV show feeling as he obviously did. You can see that he is under incredible duress while he's doing this. So this is, we're talking generally about reality TV. You're not going to get rid of reality TV, but it is a very big debating point because it is using people as guinea pigs for and let's say it, entertainment of the rest of us. And we all stand around the water cooler, metaphorically, the next day and say, did you see that bloke? Did you hear that bloke? When it was Big Brother was the thing, when I was when we were all watching television, and it was car crash TV, and there were some people who did suffer terribly from it. And there were others who just remarkably sailed through it and made a lot of money. And then there were other people who won. I remember there was this guy Pete, he was from Brighton, he had Tourette's, and he became a sort of national star at the time. And then after it was all over, he went back to being Pete in Brighton and people forgot about him. And I don't think I've seen a story about him since. And hopefully he's fine and all the rest of it. And then, of course, we have that poor girl, I can't remember her name, Nikki something. She was on there and she was obviously slightly, had a slight kind of propensity to mental illness. And she was like, and she'd go into the diary room and she said, I mean, who is she? Who is she? I can't remember her name. And she, unfortunately, took her own life, and her mother said, well, it wasn't anything to do with the show, it was just who she was and all the rest of it. Love Island, we've seen at least 2 people have taken their own lives as appearing on Love Island. So I'm asking you the question, should reality TV really be allowed to do all this? Or do you just think, well, you know, the actual... sounds really callous to say it, but the number of people who harm themselves after appearing is fairly negligible. And actually, it's just... You never hear about people taking their own lives after appearing in The Traitors, do you? Or something like this, or I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. There are people who are not really prepared or should not be allowed on TV shows. You know, I remember, what's her name? That's the girl from the Only Way is Essex, who refused to jump out of the helicopter at the beginning, you know? And it was like, well, why are you appearing on a show where you've got so many phobias that not only... And she pulled out within about a couple of hours or so. So tell me what you think about the Jeremy Kyle situation to start with now. Jeremy Kyle gave evidence at the inquest yesterday about Steve Diamond, who's 63 from Portsmouth, who is believed to have killed himself 7 days after filming the show. The inquest was shown clips of the show which have never aired. We played one of them, in which Kyle told Diamond he'd failed a lie detector test to tell the goddamn truth, he said. Kyle defended his actions yesterday, saying he was just a kind of character that was created, and the people behind the show were the moving force. He encouraged the audience to applaud Diamond and called him mate, he said. Well, he wasn't really his friend, was he? I believed he needed to tell the truth, Kyle told the inquest. The inquest later heard from the show's nurse, Steph MacDonald, who said she knew of Diamond's history of depression, but not his self-harm. OK? I'll give you more details of it after we've heard the travel noise, but what do you think of what happened? And what does it say about things that entertain? We've always kind of enjoyed gruesome things that entertain us, from the Colosseum and the lions through to public executions, because it wasn't as if people went, oh, I'm not going to turn up to a public execution. I'm sure if someone was given capital punishment now and they got that sentence and they were going to be publicly killed in the town square, it would be heaving. I'm sorry, it's just human nature. So maybe we should just accept it. Or what was wrong? Just after 5:15, let's get the latest travel news and say good morning, Joanne Webb.
Thanks, Ian. Good morning. There are problems on the M1 northbound between junctions 9 at Redbourne and 10 at Luton Airport. One lane's had to be closed, and that's for emergency repair works. In Willesden, Church Road is closed southbound from Neasden Lane, and that's because of an ongoing police investigation. All the buses that usually go that way are on diversion. On the M25, anti-clockwise between junctions 16 at the M40 and 15 at the M4. It's very busy following the overnight roadworks, but the good news is they're in the process of being cleared. And on the underground, on the Central Line, Holland Park Station is closed because of a shortage of staff.
This is LBC.
If you've been injured in an accident at work, you could be entitled to thousands of pounds in compensation. Talk to Harris Fowler today. For over 25 years, we've helped people who've been injured at work, in a warehouse, a factory, on site, or anywhere. With a 94% success rate, call the award-winning Harris Fowler now. 0800 213 214. It's no win, no fee, no risk. Harris Fowler, the personal injury solicitor.
Calling all black cab drivers. Let's talk about those quieter times when your meter is taking a little nap. And those quiet places with empty return trips. Why not consider Uber? Upload your documents in minutes and join the hundreds of black cab drivers already earning on Uber. Black cabs on Uber are priced by your meter. Plus, you'll receive 0% service fee and £400 when you sign up and take your first trip. Turn downtime into prime time. Go to uber.com/black cabs to start earning today. 0% service fee ends end of September. Terms and conditions apply.
TikTok, official sponsors of Team GB, and here's Olympic heptathlete Katarina Johnson-Thompson for Great Britain.
I started athletics when my PE teacher said,
why don't you give high jump a go?
And I've been obsessed with athletics ever since. Now, when I want to start something new, I start on TikTok. Like recently, I searched for Book Talk. It started with a gripping whodunit. Now I have a reading list that's 800 metres long. Search Team GB on TikTok and follow the journey to Paris. It starts on TikTok.
This is LBC. Message Ian Payne on WhatsApp now on 0345 6060 973.
Good morning, Ian Payne with you until 7 o'clock. It's 19 minutes past 5. We're talking about the Jeremy Kyle show, the inquest into the death of one of the guests that was on the show 7 days after he appeared on the show. We've talked a lot about that. If I ever say anything that's, and I always say this, if I ever say anything that is factually inaccurate, I will always attempt, if someone tells me, to put it right after checking it. So Nikki Graham, who was, of course, one of the contestants on Big Brother, she didn't take her own life. She actually died of anorexia. So I want to put that absolutely straight. If anything that you've heard, as we always have to do, because we have a duty of care as well, if there's anything that you've heard in the last 20 minutes that's upset you or upset someone that you know, the Samaritan's number is and remains a free phone number, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 116. Get ready to 2, 3. So, let's go to Sam in Cardiff. What do you make about all this? Good morning.
Good morning. With the Jeremy Kyle show, I mean, I always found it very difficult to watch. I didn't really see what was very entertaining about it. But the point I wanted to make more about wider reality TV is most of the shows seem to have sort of younger people on them, and the biggest cause of death in men under, I think it's 35, is suicide. So obviously the people are at an increased risk because of that.
Yes.
And there doesn't seem to be very much support once they sort of get spat out the other end of the, show machine.
I think there is, perhaps not as much as they should be. I think the point I would make, Sam, and I agree with you, because I always found Jeremy Kyle impossible to watch, whereas Jerry Springer I absolutely loved. And I just think that, of course, so are you saying that if one person out of 10,000 ends their own life because of their appearance on a reality TV show, all reality TV shows should be cancelled?
No, absolutely not. But what I'm saying is there needs to be more support. I mean, I'm 99% certain I'm right about this. Even things like the ayudx with Susan Boyle, I'm sure she had a mental health crisis after she came second rather than first. And there's a lot of manipulation about what is shown to the public in all sorts of reality TV shows.
But that's fame, isn't it? That's got. I mean, that's another subject that I think is related. I don't know if you saw the story yesterday. Those wonderful people on Yorkshire Farm who had this huge family, and it seemed an idyllic life. Absolutely not. Gets televised. Now they split up. It just happens, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. But whether there is enough awareness before people go into any sort of reality TV on the impact that could have on their wider life, and the reality is that 12 months after the show has finished, you're probably going to go back to the life that you had before, irrespective.
In this particular instance, with this guy Steve Darwin, to be fair to the show's producers and presenter, he had applied 40 times to appear on that show. It wasn't as if they were saying, "Oh, you've got to come on immediately," and yet he felt reluctant. He was desperate to be on. What do you do?
And just because someone said, I mean, for any rational person, saying something like Jeremy Kyle is absolute last resort, and perhaps that should have actually been an indication that there was something amiss with this person.
Why do you think people appeared on Jeremy Kyle? Because I'm always amazed.
I understand there was some sort of financial incentive involved in doing so. I suppose.
Was there? I don't know. Were they paid?
Makanannya udah habis.
They got a night in a hotel.
Pak,
transportation.
pegangannya udah habis.
I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I think if you're absolutely desperate, you don't have any money, your relationship and your life is falling apart, and you see this as I can prove to so-and-so that I didn't do this. I mean, and you don't understand that the life test is simply not accurate enough to be, to give an accurate answer. I think maybe if I was in a situation where, I was about my marriage was falling apart, my
I come back to the comparison because they were very similar shows. You know, people call them freak shows, but I mean that's very unfair. But that's really what we're doing. We're looking at people and thinking, well, look at them. Oh, thank God I'm not like that. Aren't they weird? Aren't they crazy? And on the Jeremy Kyle show, it was on the Jerry Springer show, he took it to crazy lengths. I mean, the kind of absurdity of some people's lives, and I sometimes wonder whether half of them were actually real or whether it was just made up. Fred, it was about entertainment, and if someone had failed a lie detector test, I'm not sure if they did that with Jerry Springer, but he wouldn't condemn them. He would just sort of put the microphone to his mouth.
Oke, karena sudah jam setengah 12 ya.
He was a listener, whereas Jeremy Kyle was very much an accuser.
I can't remember who it was. I think at the time the judge or someone in some sort of inquiry referred to the show as human.
Jadi kita sudahi dulu live streaming hari ini.
Jumatan
dulu ya.
Yes, it dealt with some very odd and controversial topics, but often in a sort of upbeat, fun way and in a positive way. Whereas Jeremy Kyle was always seen to look.
Oke, kalau begitu saya sudahi dulu live streaming hari ini karena mau Jumatan. Nanti setelah Jumatan saya akan live lagi, tapi bukan Euro Truck lagi. Jadi nanti saya akan main Dota, jadi nggak main Euro Truck lagi. Oke, kalau begitu saya Yudi pamit undur diri dulu. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dadah.